Now let's discuss sketch editing and modification tools. Alone drawing tools cannot complete the sketch. You require to edit or modify using these tools. So basically they are very useful to get the required shape of a sketch. In SolidWorks, we have various editing tools like trim, extend, offset, linear sketch, mirror, and so on. So with the help of this tool, we can complete the sketch. Now, out of this, trim, extend, convert entity, offset entity, mirror, and linear sketch and circular sketch are very important. Now let's look at the trim entities. Now it says trim means to remove the unwanted part of a sketch. Just look at over here. Earlier we have a blue line over here. So using this trim entity, we can remove the middle lines. Now we have various options under the trim command. The first is by default is power trim. Second is corner. Third is trim away inside, and fourth is trim away outside, and last is trim to closest. Now power trim is basically when you invoke the trim command, only you have to do is just press the left click of a mouse button and then move across the sketch which you want to trim. So power trim option is useful for trimming sketch entities by dragging the cursor across the entities. When you drag across, you will see a red square. If you go back to the red square, it will undo the trimming operations. So red square will give you options to undo. Now, if you drag the mouse and if you press the shift key, instead of trimming, it will work like an extend command. So if you drag mouse while pressing shift key, will extend the sketch entity instead of trimming. If you drag mouse back to the last red point, it will undo the trim sketch as shown over here. Now corner button is used for creating the corner between the two entities by trimming or extending. Now here we have two lines. If you select this, it will get extended and you will get this results. If you pick same lines, in this case, it will remove this additional part and trim to this corner. So that second options offer that trimming capabilities. Now along with this, we do have these two options. Keep trim entities as construction geometry and ignore the trimming of construction geometry. Means if I trim over here, the remaining line will not trim away, but it will be converted into the construction geometry. So in future, if you require as a reference, you can choose these options. Now the third option, trim away inside button, is used for trimming away the entities that are lies inside the defined boundary. Now please pay close attention over here. Inside the defined boundary. So here this blue rectangle is defined boundary. You have to choose these two lines, so it will define the rectangle, and then you can remove these two lines. So this will be your output. Similarly, trim away outside is used for trimming the entities lies outside the definite boundary, right? So this is the outcome. So here the outside geometry will get trimmed, and earlier it was inside geometry. Now the last part is trim to closest button used for trimming the sketch entities from their nearest intersection by clicking the left mouse button. So here if you choose this, the arc will get trimmed to this point only. Now let's see trim sketch modification tool in SolidWorks. Now open the part and let's sketch on front plane a rectangle, a random size rectangle. Now let's draw the line like this. Double click, draw one more line, double click, draw another line like this, double click, draw the horizontal line, double click, and one more horizontal line. Right. Now let's pick up the trim command. I will use first power trim. Now press the left click and move like this. Now it removed that part. Again, second part, third part. Now if I go back, it will undo. Again, I can go back like this and this. Now let's try this way. So I can quickly trim away the outside part. Okay. Now let's try to trim this construction geometry. It does get trimmed. If I click over here, ignore the trimming of construction geometry. Now let's try. It won't trim the construction geometry, but by default it is not ticked or selected. So let's restore to its default condition. So for example, I want to trim away these two lines, so I can do this. Now I will try to trim this line, but the same time I will press the shift key so that this line will get extend to up to this line. So press the shift key and then drag. So this way we can use the extend features of a trim entities command. Now let's drag this line, again press shift key and drag again. This will simply extend that line. Now open the trim extend file which I provided in the resource file. Now here I have provided certain sketch, right? They are, as of now, they are not visible. So first try to select this part and right click and press on this eye icon. This will show up your sketch. Now right click and edit the sketch. Now this time I will use trim command with the power trim options. So here I will do like this. Okay. So this way I am able to achieve the final shape. Click OK and exit. So using power trim, I can quickly trim away the unwanted part. Now try to hide the first power trim sketch and activate the second one. Edit that part. You have to be in editing mode of sketch. Otherwise you cannot use the trim command. Now choose the trim. This time I will use these corner options. Now here I will choose this part and this part. Look at this. So this get extended and the another blue line get trimmed. Now similarly, now here I will choose this line and this line. By mistake, if I choose over here, this side and this side, these two lines will get trimmed away. Let's try over here and over here. So this is reverse region. So let me go Control Z. Again, trim command. This time I will choose the inside these two lines. So that will simply remove the opposite portions. Click OK and exit. Now hide that. Now activate this trim away inside curve. Right click and edit. Now let's start the trim away inside. Now click on trim, choose these options. Here let's try this first part. Select this circle, then cross select all the lines which fall inside the circle. This will trim away the inside geometry up to the selected boundary, which is in our case it is circle. Now let's try the second part. Click the trim command and choose this trim away options. Here this line and this line. This will create the boundary. Now cross select the middle lines. This will remove the inside part of the geometry. Now let's exit. Now inside trim away outside options, click the trim, select the trim modification tool. Inside trim away outside options, select this one and this one. Now select cross with the crossing window. Try to grab all the additional lines you want to trim away. So here the outside part get trimmed. Trim entities and inside that trim to closest. So here I will choose. Now look at very carefully. It gives you the preview which part it is going to trim away. Okay. So I will trim away. Now this time I will simply keep these options on. So it will remove, but it will leave the geometry which is get trimmed as a construction geometry. So here, let's try to trim this part. this part, this one, this one, this one. So it simply trim to the closest intersections. That is what it meaning of this trim to closest option under the trim is. Extend entities modification tool simply does opposite to the trim command. It simply extend the sketch to the next geometry, as you can see in the sketch. It is available under the trim sketch modification tool. Now open sketch on a front plane. And let's try to draw few lines. Okay. Now choose extend command. Click on this. It will simply extend like this. And again select it. It will still continue as a extend command. So this way, by using extend command, you can extend the geometry. Now let's try on arc. So even if you apply tool on arc, it will extend its arc portion to the next intersection of geometry. Now very important modification tool is offset entities. Offset entity tool used to offset a sketch or edges at a specified offset distance. As you can see from the sketch, this is our main sketch. Now we are offsetting the geometry by 10 mm distance. You can offset inside or outside. Offset entities tool manager allow various options like to add dimensions, reverse the direction of offset. It also allow to put the cap end. You can create offset in both directions by bidirectional checkbox. So this box does simply same thing. You can turn the base or offset geometry into construction geometry. So additionally, you have an options. Let's say over here, this is our original sketch, right? Now we are creating the inside the offset geometry. Now what we want to do with this parent geometry? Do we want to convert into a construction geometry? So we have to take base if you want to turn into parent geometry. If you want to turn into construction geometry that is newly created, that is called offset geometry, then you tick this part. So it will create newly offsetted sketch convert into the sketch geometry. Now along with that, we do have options. You can simply offset on both sides. You can also add the cap end. It may be circular or maybe the simply plain lines. So these two figures explain same thing. You can convert the geometry, either base geometry or offset geometry, into construction geometry. Now open the offset part. Here, let's edit this part. Select this and edit. Now I have a sketch over here. I want to offset it. So click on offset tool. Here, the two tick marks is added. Add dimensions and select the chain. Add dimensions is very simple, easy to understand. Whatever dimension we are having here, it will be displayed over here. Right? So by changing the dimension, you can change the distance between parent geometry or base geometry and offsetted geometry. Now select chain means what? In this sketch, this is arc and this is line, right? So these two are different geometry. So they are creating a continuous chain 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you want to select the entire sketch. That is what meaning of select the chain. If you want to only offset only this part, only arc, then you have to deselect this option. Now let me select this part. Now see, yellow preview is shown. This offsetted geometry is away by 10 mm distance and it is outside. If you want inside, just click this reverse button and click OK. Now here we have 10 mm distance. Now let's undo. Again, offset geometry. This time I'm going to create bidirectional and I will choose 8 mm distance. So it will create two offset geometry, inside and outside. And let me click OK. So I have a two offset geometry at a distance of 8 mm. Now let's go for once again offset. This time what I'm going to do is, instead of bidirectional, I will choose only outside, and I will turn this base geometry into construction geometry. So choose this part and select this. Now look at what the preview says. So this base geometry get converted into the construction geometry, and outside the newly formed offset geometry will remain in continuous line. Look at this. Now hide this sketch and active this sketch offset cap and edit it. Now let's try to offset this. Here I will offset by 10 mm. Okay. I will choose this. Here what we have is, I want to add a line over here and I want to add line over here. That means I want to cap these ends. So choose this option called cap ends. Here by default it is arc. If you want lines, choose these lines. So let me go for arc and select OK. Now here I made one mistake. That was I have chosen this base geometry as a construction geometry. So let me repeat. I will untick this base geometry and I'll do the same thing. Select this line and this line, and I will choose lines in under the cap end instead of arc, and let OK. So here line get added at the ends. So it will close the geometry. Now open the part called offset example. I will provide all this part file in resource folder. Let's try to create over here a offset geometry. Select this part, this face, and open the sketch. Now I want to use this edge and offset them by 8 mm. So select this option and select this curve, this edge and this edge. I want to reverse these directions. Instead of 8, 10, let me select 8. Okay, and click OK. So using offset tool, I can use these reference edges and convert into new sketch. I can manage the offset distance through this number. Just double click it and enter the 10. So it will update the sketch. Now let's go to features, and this time I will use extrude cut, and simply I will cut away entire things, right? So I will choose through all and click OK. Now let's try to edit this part. So I'm going to edit the original sketch. So select this sketch and try to change this 50 to, let's say, 30. Okay, and rebuild the geometry. So look at over here. Because of that, underline follow sketch created using the offset command is also get updated. So this is beautiful thing about the offset geometry. Now fourth tool is convert entities. This is very useful tool because it allows you to project existing edge, loop, face, curve or external contour or set of edges onto the new sketch plane as a new sketch. Now what is benefit? It simply follow the edge relation between the reference edges and the newly created sketch. When this bottom reference surface update or edge update or part is updated, obviously the followed sketches also get updated. This is a beautiful advantage of convert entities. Now inside convert entity we do have three options: convert entities, silhouette entities and intersections. Now silhouette entities allow to convert this edge of a solid features. It may be any type of solid, right, into the sketch. Similarly, the third option is called intersection curve, where intersection between two surface body, solid or surface body, or between the solid and plane or surface and plane, it helps us to create a sketch between these two intersecting body. Now open the part called convert entities. You will see in this part file, I have a two feature. One is extrude features. Second is also extrude two features. Now what I want to do here, I want to create this part at these locations, but of a same size. So instead of creating same sketch again, I will project this sketch. So here I will choose this surface as a sketching plane and I will open the sketch. Now here, this is my sketching plane. Now I will take an advantage. I will choose this surface like this. And I will click on convert entities. So what it does, it simply draw the curve by referencing this edge like this and also this slot. So click on convert entities. Look at very carefully. Okay. Now I miss this inside portion, that is this curve. So let's try to add them. I will choose this line, control, select these edges and click on convert entities. So along with the previous sketch, it also get added over here. Now what is benefit here is I simply follows this geometry, right? If I change this geometry, the underneath dependent sketch is also get changed. So this is the advantage of using the convert entities. Now let's go over here and extrude. Instead of extruding outside, I will reverse the directions and I will keep it as 10 mm. I will go and edit the sketch. So here, instead of 120 diameter, I will choose 100. Okay. Now let's try to update and see does it get updated or not. So obviously this geometry, this feature get updated and the dependent sketches also get updated. So this is the benefit of converting the entities. So if you simply reference the new sketch based on existing edges of face or the sketch. Open the file intersection curve. Now purpose of this demonstration is to show you how you can use intersection curve options in Sketch Command Manager to create a sketch. Now select this. Here I have to select the entire part. Okay. Now along with that, I will also add this bottom face. Now I will choose any of this plane which is passing through from the center. So let me select this front plane and click OK. So intersection between entire surface, this part and the front plane, a sketch is created. Look at very carefully. And also look at what we have is here is 3D sketch. Now let me extrude. So to extrude the 3D sketch, you need to require to give the directions. So choose this line. Now it is asking for direction over here. So we have to give our front plane. Okay. So it is going to extrude perpendicular to the front plane. So on front plane, what we have is a intersection curve. Now you can give the distance and click OK. So this is how intersection curve between the features and the default plane help us to create its outer geometry. Mirror entities tool is basically used to mirror the sketch entities about selected center lines or linear model edges, linear edges on drawing. There are only two things here. Entities to mirror means which line segment or arc or part of a sketch you want to mirror. You have to select in this box. After that, you have to select the reference line. Probably mostly it is center line or the linear edge. Here by default, the copy option is ticked. So what happened? The existing geometry remain there and its copy get mirrored on opposite side. If you untick, this copy will get mirrored over here, but the original will get deleted. But by default, this is turned on. So clear copy to add a mirror copy of the selected entities and remove the original sketch if you untick this option. Open new part file and create new sketch on a front plane. Now let's draw center line first. Now here I will draw a simple part. Now choose mirror entities modification tool. Here I want to mirror this line, this and this line and horizontal line. Now see very carefully, after selecting that, I have to select the center line. So I have to choose this option mirror about and choose this vertical center line. So it will mirror about that center line and click OK. Now how do you know that it is get mirrored? Look at this green flag. Its symbol is a square and center line is passing through from opposite corner. So whenever you see such geometric symbols, relation symbol, it will clearly tell you that it is mirrored geometry. Delete this geometry. Now select here dynamic mirror. It is not discussed, but let me demonstrate over here. Choose this part and select this as a reference line. Now here, what is the benefit of dynamic mirror? As you draw geometry on one side, it immediately get mirrored on another side. So how can you see dynamic option is on? By look at these two horizontal line at top and bottom. This will tell you that dynamic mirror option is on. Now let's choose. Look at very carefully. It simply mirror the geometry as I draw over here. So this is very quick, right? So exit it and use this sketch to create a feature. Now in sketch pattern, SolidWorks allow us to create linear sketch pattern and circular sketch pattern. Now under the linear sketch pattern tool is used for creating multiple instances. Instance means copy of a sketch in a linear direction, either X direction, either Y direction. If you look over here, there is a circle inside a rectangle block. I want to create its pattern in X direction. So using linear pattern in X direction, I can add 9 number of circles and spacing between them is 10 millimeter. If I want to add in vertical direction, I can. So I have to increase this number of instances from 1 to 2 and 3. So automatically rows get added above each others. And the last option is entities to pattern. So you have to select this. You want to create a pattern of a circle. So you have to choose this circle. So it will give you the preview. Now open the sketch on a front plane. Let's draw the rectangle of 50 and 100. Okay. Now draw the circle of 5 mm diameter at a distance from y-axis 10 and from x-axis again it is 10. Now select this linear sketch pattern. Select this arc from this box. Now increase the number of copies. You can see the preview. You can also control the distance between them. Let's say it is 15. Let's increase one more. Okay. And this time let's reduce the distance to 12. Or let me make it 14. Now here I am adding the circle in X direction. If I add the angle over here, let's say 10 degree, pattern does created, but an angle of 10 degree. Now let's reverse to 0 degree. Now I want to create a pattern in y direction. So choose this from 1 to 2 and add the number of instances. Here again, let's make it 14. Now if it is going outside, then decrease the number of instances. Now here, I want to skip some of the sketch circle over here. So choose this part, select this one, and this one. Now click OK. So this way you can create a pattern of a circle linearly in X and Y directions. All you have to do is, because it is showing you in blue color, you have to define by giving the dimension from in between the circle from the left and right. So it will turn into the fully defined state. Now under the circular sketch pattern tool, it is used to create multiple instances of a sketch entity in circular manner about a center point. Here we have one larger circle and one is pitch circle. Now on that I have drawn one smaller circle. I want to create instances of a small circle, right? So using circular pattern, I can do this. All I have to do is select this center point as a reference point. Then the entries to pattern, in our case it is circle. Then the number of instances. Here we have option called equal spacing. That means SolidWorks decide the angle between them equally. This is called fill angle. Here in this slides it is 360 degree, means entire 4 part will be distributed across the 360 degree. So each two pair having simply 90 degree between them. Now you can also control the radius at which it is creating the pattern. So this is, I'm talking about radius. You can also have an option of skipping the instances. Same number of instances and the angle can be controlled by this flyout window. Now open the sketch on a front plane. Draw the circle of 100 millimeters. Offset the geometry by 20 millimeter. This inside circle, and draw 10 millimeter circle on a right side. Now let's use circular sketch pattern. Here this is my reference point about which I want to create a pattern. Now choose this circle. Now because my circle is on the right side of a reference point, this angle is referring as 180 degree. If this was my circle, then the angle shown over here will be 0. But because the reference point is on the left side from the circle, so this direction indicated as 180 degree. So if I change this angle, entire sketching pattern circle shifted. Right? So this will help us to change the angle of a reference point, this reference point, from the geometry, that is circle in our case. So in between you can set the angle. So let's go back to the 0. Here we have an option of equal spacing. That means SolidWorks will decide himself how much angle we have to keep equally uniformly between these circles. Now let's increase 4 and 6. Now here you can go ahead and simply click OK. Let me tick this option, dimension angular spacing, and click OK. Sometimes many users having this circle underdefined. So at that time you have to use this reference point and drag it little bit away so you can see what is missing. So drag that point back to this reference point. And that way you can convert the entire circular sketch pattern fully defined.